As a functional medicine practitioner and holistic nutritionist, I like to deep dive into finding the root cause of the problems of my clients. And I test many things for me too. And usually people ask me, look, I have a certain budget. Which tests should I do and why? And this is a tough question, right? Because it depends. It depends on the main health issue that you have. So if you, for example, struggle with bloating, farting, diarrhea, constipation, skin issues, mental health, I would say start with the stool tests. And you can review the video where I talk about the benefits of the stool test. Maybe you tell me, look, I'm perimenopausal, I have heavy flow, or I'm missing my period, I have sore breast, I have hot sweats, night night sweats, hot flushes. Um, I'm gaining the weight around the belly, and I did not change any diet. Then I would say let's look into the blood tests or urinary metabolite tests. So what is the difference? Blood tests, I can, of course, prepare a list, and you go to your doctor and they take blood. And what serum blood test results show you is which hormones are currently in your blood. But if you have a methylation problem, which basically means that your liver is not breaking down in a phase 1 and phase 2, the hormones and doesn't eliminate the metabolites. Maybe there is a genetic predisposition. Maybe you don't have certain vitamins and minerals that are needed, like zinc, B12, B6, B1, B2, B3. Maybe you don't have coenzyme Q10. Maybe you have metabolic difficulties. Maybe you have insulin resistance. Whatever it is, then you are not methylating properly, and then you are not utilizing the hormones in an optimal way. And if you are constipated, you are actually maybe recirculating the metabolites back into the portal vein and into the liver, and then you might have estrogen dominance. So it's painful period, heavy period, and so on. And in that case, I say do the hormone panel of urinary metabolites, because we can see what you are actually eliminating. And maybe even when you are using the hormone replacement therapy, you can see if you are in optimal dose or not. Many of my clients also say, what do you think about the DNA testing? And I have to say, I was against it. Because what does this information can do to your mental mindset? Imagine if I do DNA test and I discover that I have BRCA gene for breast cancer, and I will now have sore breast, and I can build in my head that I have breast cancer, or I will be worried about it. So I did not really want to know what's in my genes. But one company, Nordic Laboratories, offered the genetic testing for free. And they shipped it to my house if I want to try it. I was like, okay, it's 300 euro. Will I try it for my kids, or will I try it myself? So I actually did it myself, and the results arrived. And I want to share them with you. It's quite interesting. People usually think, but Blanca, you are a nutritionist, you are a hormone yoga therapist, you live this super healthy life. And yes, 90% of everything that we do is the lifestyle. But 5 to 10% is the genetic predisposition. And imagine the genes, it's like you have a gun, it's a loaded gun. And the lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. Yeah. So if you have a healthy lifestyle, then you are not pulling the trigger, but the gun, the loaded gun, is still there. And it can anytime, just by accident, by a small stress in your life, it can get triggered, right? And yes, we have epigenetics. Epigenetics basically means that you can control the switch on your genes, switch them on and switch them off based on the lifestyle. And I was thinking before the results arrived, what are we going to discover? Well, I carry the genes. of my family. And I know what's running in the family. So in the family, every single person was obese. And every single person had diabetes after the menopause or at a later stage. Um, we also have Parkinson's, lung cancer, um, Alzheimer's, you name it. So I know what's in my genes. Let me share the screen and show you what was a surprise for me, what I didn't know, and why I am actually happy that I have done the genetic test, because now I can take action. So if I go to the top, this is very, very long, and I'm not going to show you absolutely everything. You can really see that it's Blanca Campbell. It's really my DNA test. And this DNA test that I have done, it's core. It's not a complex one. You can do even more complicated. Here we were looking at the biological processes, nutrition, weight management, and exercise. So what am I predisposed to? What should I eat, and what will be easy for me? Here you can see is the content. It will show you whether or not I am able to, for example, turn the beta carotene into active vitamin A. For this, we need enzymatic reactions. And DNA can show you whether you have this enzyme that can make retinol or not. And we know that, for example, vitamin A, you can either get it into your body through eating the animal products, because then animals prepared it for you, but you cannot get vitamin A, for example, from carrots. That's a beta carotene. It is a precursor to vitamin A. And you need this enzyme to turn it into vitamin A, the active retinol. And some people, they don't have this enzyme. And then they, for example, cannot create immunoglobulin A, the secretory immunoglobulin A that we have in the mucosa of our intestinal lining that is protecting us against the viruses and parasites and food allergies and so on. And the same goes for B vitamins. Not everybody has the methylating enzymes, and therefore they cannot break up and make up the homocysteine, and they have a higher predisposition for cardiovascular disease. So you can see here even alcohol metabolism. Can you break down alcohol pretty quickly? Well, you would say, well, I know I can. Or you will say, oh, I know I cannot, because after one glass of wine, I'm completely drunk. I feel horrible. The same is with caffeine sensitivity. Somebody can drink coffee at 8 o'clock in the evening and they can fall asleep easily. And if I have coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I will not sleep all night long. And that's what this this test showed as well. So I will just like quickly scroll down to something that was interesting for me. So when we look, for example, at the biological processes, so they say that I have elevated risk for high triglycerides, which of course I know because everybody in my family had high triglycerides. I have elevated risk for the type 2 diabetes. Well, no surprise. Every single person in my family has diabetes. So obviously I have this predisposition. But what can I do around it? So I can eat low carbohydrate diet, almost ketogenic, for years and years and years and years, and I can postpone the genetic predisposition for the type 2 diabetes. This is what I can do because I can control my lifestyle. I also have elevated risk for chronic inflammation, which, no surprise, chronic inflammation, that's what we have in the family as well. So you can see that I did not get the best genes. And this is also important that I have increased folate. So sometimes when I interpret the blood tests for my clients, they have very high B6 and B9, but they have quite low B12. And you can see that even for me, the micronutrients that I need is B12. And when I look at my blood test, the mean cell volume, so that's the red blood cells that we are measuring, is extremely high, which is macrocytic anemia, right? So microcytic is small, that's when you don't have iron, and macrocytic, when the red blood cells are extremely large but empty. This is what I have for years and years and years. And so I know that I have to supplement methylated B12 to avoid this, because I just don't have the genes to activate the B12 with intrinsic factor in my stomach. What I was pleasantly surprised was that I don't have lactose intolerance. So I was avoiding very often lactose. I was minimizing the dairy products. I time to time have like sheep milk, sheep products, but cow I completely eliminated. But I was happy to see this. But what was a big surprise for me was that I have a risk for celiac disease. And actually at Christmas this year, I noticed that when I was eating the Christmas cookies, when I was back in the Czech Republic, I had diarrhea and I had really, really sore lower part of the belly. So basically it was the inflammation of the gut based on what I was eating there. And then when I came back home and to my normal diet, I did not have this problem. So this confirmed I need to be gluten-free. And actually even my son, who had the same problems now, he is gluten-free. And then obviously the caffeine sensitivity, that's what I mentioned to you. Now that I have a sweet tooth, well, no surprise, but there are so many alternatives how you can indulge into something that is sweet without triggering the spike of the glucose. And yeah, so here you can see that here we have the genes. So you can see that these are these are like lipoproteins. And here I have 2 dots, so it's not so severe. But what was very severe is the insulin sensitivity, which is basically so insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. So I very much react to the sugar, and it triggers my pancreas. I also have pancreatic insufficiency. That's one of the things that they did not test in here, but I know it. And here we have the COMT. So COMT is basically a gene that is deciding to which path you go, whether you are creating, for example, carcinogenic metabolites from the estrogen or the less harmful. So we have OH4, OH16, and OH2. In my case, I have done also the hormonal urinary test, and COMT actually went into the one that is damaging the DNA. So I have to be careful and take steps towards it. And so here you have the phase 1 and phase 2, the detoxification, which of course I knew about the caffeine, and also salt is basically the antioxidant. So I know that I'm going to buy a specific mixture of antioxidants that suit my needs based on these results. So I'm not going to go completely into details, but if you would want to know what is your genetic predisposition and you can afford to pay the DNA test, it might be a good idea. Let me know what you think.